Hey everybody, welcome to Nitro Maniac TV's wrestling channel. I'm Kellen Nitro, and forgiveness on the tardiness of this review. It's Nitro's take on the Ring of Honor 16th anniversary show that took place in Las Vegas, March 9, 2018. The reason why it's a little bit delayed is on March 9, 2018, I had the procedure to get a wisdom tooth removed, and for those in the crowd who have had that happen, you know how much that hurts. And I am hyped up on pain meds and antibiotics and all sorts of good stuff right now, but it's actually doing really well. There's no pain right now at the moment, and I'm going to try and get a chance to do this, so it'll be pretty good. We'll see what happens. Sumi Sakai and Hannah Kimora coming over from Stardom in the first matchup of the evening, which was a first round match for the Women of Honor tournament that was on the free-for-all kind of pre-show, event pre-show thing that they call it. Everybody, if you're a wrestling fan, you call it a free-for-all still. It's WWF terminology, I know, but anyway. Huge fan of Sumi. The first time I saw Sumi wrestle was back in 2005, 2006 during my tape trading days. And yes, I did tape trade at one time. Maybe I'll do a video about that and how much fun that was back in the day. Maybe a little later on this year on the channel. But just remind me. So there's a lot of things that come up on the channel. But Sumi was a mainstay on a lot of the 2005, 2006 Chikara cards, and those cards were chock full of a ton of future superstars. I mean, Chris Hero, Claudio Castagnoli, they booked in Colt Cabana sometimes. CM Punk showed up at the very first Chikara show that was ever in existence as part of the main event, I think. It was, that was coming out of that East Coast, Midwest type independent setting. There was like a whole bunch of people, and Sumi was one of them. Sumi was wrestling Lacey and Daisy Hayes and Sarah Del Rey and so forth back in the day. And so, it's good to see her continue her career and finally get the just deserves that she deserves, or that I guess inner gratification of finally being able to showcase your skills with a product that's really world class and that stuff like Ring of Honor is right now. So it was a great match. Anytime you can bring also somebody in like Kimora from Stardom and bring that sort of power to her. She's a second generation wrestler as well, and that sort of influence, I should say, power and influence, I should say. It's good. It was a great match. An awesome opener. Then we jump to the second round match, the Women of Honor tournament, that they had moved up, and they had specifically threw this on the pre-show so people would watch the pre-show. The new signee, Tenille Dashwood, formerly Emma in WWE, taking on Brandy Rhodes. So that match there, actually really good. As mentioned in a few reviews before, Brandy's wrestling ability has gotten a little bit better as she gets better every time out. It's not the same Brandy Rhodes that debuted as a wrestler in Impact over 2 years ago now or so. I think that Brandy really has her skill set has really improved a lot now that she's a very good draw independently on her own. But with her package with Cody, it always helps. So, and Tenille, I think this independent run's going to be good for her. It's going to be interesting to see what promotions she ends up landing or working for and that stuff. I think she's going to go the route and find out that you really don't need to be in the WWE to make similar money, if not more money, now, currently. Because look at the Bullet Club, look at, the guys from New Japan, look at Joey Ryan, folks like that. If she can get something going, that's kind of similar to what they're doing, then sky's the limit, and I don't think we'll ever see her back in WWE because quite frankly, there would never be a need for her to go back to WWE. I think she'd be able to do a lot by herself. So, anyways, great match. Tenille gets the win. It's got that, I forget what the name of the move was in WWE. I know that they've changed the Emma-mite sandwich splash in the corner. The Ring of Honor announcers are now calling it the Taste of Tenille, which was kind of the YouTube channel run that she was doing, or she still is doing. I'm not sure either or if the show has continued or not. But and the cool part is we get to see Tenille Dashwood here in less than a few weeks locally when she's coming in with PWA to wrestle. I think Kat Von He's in a singles match as part of the anniversary card here at Nate. So it's going to be, it's interesting. It's good to see her get the success and get a lot of the attention that she was getting, because the way it ended in WWE is kind of, it's almost as if she was a spare part, and that's not good. It's never a great feeling to have that. So, but hey, maybe she's the next Women of Honor champion. Kudos to Ring of Honor for bringing in a women's belt. Right on. The main card opened with Himuro Time Bomb Takahashi versus Flip Gordon, and man, what a match that was. That was the first hour and a half of the show. You had 2 Women of Honor matches, and then you had Flip and Time Bomb just drop a awesome junior heavyweight match on us. Like, man, great card, awesome match. Daryl was in the crowd. Somebody brought Daryl, and Himuro grabbed him out of the front row and was pretty happy to have Daryl back with him. I said on Twitter, I dropped money on a Daryl plushie. I'm not a plushie guy, but I dropped money on a Daryl plushie. So that cat is over like Rover. Do cats get over like dogs? I guess so. But hey, Takahashi with the win, and fans got the New Japan kind of big star rub that they're used to seeing on these anniversary shows, where at least 1 or 2 of the big New Japan talents fly over and wrestle on a Ring of Honor anniversary show. They've been doing that for, going back to when they used to just do their shows exclusively on DVD and you could order them from the website. Jushin Liger being probably amongst the first wave. Well, actually, there was that final battle in 03 when they had Great Muta and Kojima, I think it was, that came over from All Japan, when All Japan was still a thing. But Muta was a big thing off that, and man, just great opener. Loved it. Second match on pay-per-view, and 4th match overall on the night was the Villain Marty Scurll versus Punishment Martinez. This was a number 1 contendership match for the ROH World Titles. And it was announced later on in the night, Scurll won the match, that Marty would be getting this is after the main event when they did the post-show Facebook Live wrap-up, that Marty would be getting a title shot at the Supercard of Honor event versus Dalton Castle. So, and spoilers there, Castle won the main event, but I'm just flipping back and forth to kind of tell you how the story goes or what's happening right now. It was a good matchup. Punishment Martinez his moveset right now is a lot similar to that of maybe Taker's back in the late 90s, about 97, 98-ish. I've often said that Martinez is what WWE wishes Baron Corbin could be. I think Martinez's mobility is better than Corbin's. I think if you paired both of them together in a tag team, I think you have your new heel team for either Raw or SmackDown. Just the same look, same kind of build, style, and big guys who can move, stuff like that. I'm thoroughly impressed with Martinez as a talent out there. The only real issue I could see is it's still kind of the generic early 2000s, straight out of a vampire movie bad guy type persona he's got, and that in 2018 is kind of cliche now at this point. To go back to last year at SummerSlam when I had a buddy sitting beside me who's not a wrestling fan, but he watched the first little bit of SummerSlam with me and said that Baron Corbin was a bad guy, or he looked like a bad guy that walked right off a set of Blade with Wesley Snipes, right? So it's kind of a twist of it's you sit down and watch wrestling with a non-wrestling fan, it kind of tells you where people are now, it kind of gives you a fresh outlook and tells you, in the mainstream where they fit, kind of, sort of. But this match was great. I think Marty getting the number one contendership is awesome because it adds to the turmoil of the Bullet Club, because now it's not Cody, it's not Kenny who are going head-to-head, one-on-one with each other, getting that Ring of Honor title shot. It's Marty Scurll. And now it's like Marty is on being the elite videos and stuff like that, the one that's been trying to get everybody together and that stuff. Could we see Marty Scurll as leader of the Bullet Club soon? I think it's trending in that direction. Ring of Honor World Television Championship on the line. Kenny King, the champion, defending against Silas Young. I guess this was a rematch of something that he did on TV a few months ago back in January. So, party hard. So, this match really didn't have much of an attraction to it for me on my thinking and that stuff, and the real grab of the night. It wasn't the reason why I ordered the pay-per-view. The reason why I ordered the pay-per-view, honestly, was twofold. Just to see what they had announced with the Dashwood Rhodes Women of Honor match for the second round. That was earlier this week that they announced that, and then they announced it was going to be on a pre-show, so it's like, well, whatever. I'll still order the show and see what's up. And the television title is what it was. It was an okay match. There's nothing real flashy right now between both of them. So, ROH 6-man World Tag Team titles on the line. The Hung Bucks of Paige and the Young Bucks versus SoCal Uncensored, which was Scorpio Sky, Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian. Man, that was a war. It was an old school hardcore war. It was like something you'd see out of like ECW or the Attitude Era, the late 90s, not late 80s, but late 90s. The Bucks can actually street fight, which is kind of a hidden talent of theirs. They can put together a damn good street fight with anybody in the business. And the fact that Kazarian and Daniels, who have been tag teaming for a long time now, have brought their talents to the ring for that match, and was involved in, and Scorpio Sky, who I remember again from tape trading days from PWG DVDs and such, getting involved. Man, it was good. It was a real back and forth type match. At the end you had the Kingdom come in and attack the Young Bucks after they lost the 6-man belts to SoCal Uncensored. So obviously they're setting up something for potentially down the road, probably at the Supercard of Honor, between Young Bucks and the Kingdom there, to elevate that feud a little bit. Kind of the interesting thing right now is they're building something in Ring of Honor where all these smaller factions and that stuff of guys that have been beat down by the Bullet Club throughout the last few years and that stuff are kind of banding together in their own little offshoots, and they notice that there's a weakness in the Bullet Club, so now they're just attacking Bullet Club guys left, right, and center. And I love that. That's great. They're just ripping and tearing the Bullet Club, or attempting to tear the Bullet Club apart, right? And it's good. It's an interesting watch right now. It's almost New Japan-esque with all the factions, but it's I don't know. It's one of the neater things about wrestling right now is the ROH creative for the entire company right now at this moment is very enjoyable and interesting to watch. Then we had a singles match between two of my favorites, Cody Rhodes and Matt Taven, but don't call him Cody Rhodes, it's just Cody. And that was a scintillating contest back and forth. Now, Cody walked out with Burry, the drug-free bear from the All In and the Being the Elite YouTube videos, the official mascot of All In, and Brandy Rhodes as well. And the match itself was good. The match itself was enjoyable. It was post-match is what everybody is talking about right now today, and that's it was the identity of Burry was revealed to be Kenny Omega, and Omega hit the V trigger, which he was calling the B trigger because he was in a bear suit, on Twitter, on Cody in the ring. And then the twist, Brandy Rhodes essentially forcing herself onto Kenny, and just leaving it was a good creative. It left the crowd in kind of like like that. And yeah, everybody expected maybe the first part to happen, that okay, Kenny is this bear that they've brought in to help promote their show on September 1st. They didn't expect that coming out of the creative, so I mean, like, well done. Like the second part, you know, the crowd there and the crowd watching probably didn't expect Brandy Rhodes to end up in a lip lock that she forced upon Kenny Omega. So it's the world of wrestling. It's wild, it's wacky, it happens. That's why I love it. That's why I love watching it. You can't tell what's next. Just love that feeling when it happens. It's like, wow, that's amazing, you know. So we go on to Super Card of Honor, and we see what this all entails going forward. So, man, great match. Even better post-match. I think that's what defined the entire pay-per-view, was that angle right there. Just looking back to the Silas Young Kenny King thing, it just popped in my mind. Austin Aries walking out and challenging Kenny King for the television championship, strangely. You know, instead of maybe walking out and challenging Dalton for the world championship. Aries has been on his gimmick now where he's just collecting belts. He's Impact's champion. He's all over the place right now. Just wrestling for different titles and holding and defending those titles. So I think he's got about 4 or 5 right now. I counted last night when he walked out. It's an interesting move. It is indeed the one belt he hasn't held in Ring of Honor. I don't believe the rumors that Ring of Honor and Impact are working together. I think Impact is allowing their talent to be contracted elsewhere, whether it be, you know, a rival company on TV or not, is out of Impact's hands right now, because they're not the hot second place company right now in the world to WWE anymore. I wouldn't even put them in the top 5 at this point. I think that they're doing a lot of work to try to elevate themselves back up, but I really don't think they are there. So for them to, you know, allow some of their talent to come over and be involved on Ring of Honor TV and stuff like that going forward, I think is it's nothing but a boon to them. It can only help. It can only help their entire global everything. So, tag team match for the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championship had the Motor City Machine Guns go 2-on-2 versus the Briscoe brothers. And the Briscoes, if you ever want to watch a team that accentuates the evolution of Ring of Honor, you go back, you watch the Briscoes from that first show in 2002 on. There was a period where they weren't on Ring of Honor shows just because their age kind of precluded them from working where Ring of Honor was working a lot of shows and that stuff in the early 2000s. But then by about 2006 or so, you see them back on the scene more in a regular, I guess, run. Not scene, but run. And since then, man, they're probably the guys that have Ring of Honor, like, you know, stamped on their back somewhere, because you see them a lot in Ring of Honor And I know that they've come over and they've ventured into New Japan with the Ring of Honor sponsorship and that stuff, or not sponsorship, but partnership, I should say, in New Japan a few times and that stuff, and have done things in the past. The inaugural never open weight six-man tag championships with Ishii. But they're still a fun act to watch in 2017. They're just rough and tumble dudes. And I don't think we'll ever see them in a WWE ring, just due to the fact that I don't think their act is, I think it would be a detriment to them going to WWE. I don't think their act is WWE enough to really truly show what the Briscoes are all about. I think, and that's the same thing, honestly, with the Machine Guns as well. So you had two teams in there, Shelley and Sabin. I'm just watching this match and I'm thinking, God, how TNA screwed up with these guys. Because there's your lead heel tag team right there for TNA. That's everything that TNA, the X Division, is all about, or was all about back in the day, with Shelley and Sabin and that stuff. And those guys there, or should be rightfully still involved. If Impact didn't make the decisions they did way back when, probably think all the way back to maybe 2009, 2010, those guys would be, maybe still there, maybe not, I don't know. But it's kind of cool to see them have the success in Ring of Honor, but it's still really, it's still really at that point right now where it's like, God, TNA, how'd you screw up with these guys? The Briscoes got the win. Their 9th Ring of Honor Tag Team title reign starts, which is incredible. Good for them. And we carry on. We see what happens now. Supercard of Honor, usually there's a big thing with tag teams that they do with that. So whether it was last year with the ladder match for tag belts between the Young Bucks and the Hardy Boys for the tag team titles, they really market their tag teams very well over Ring of Honor. So looking forward to see what they've got concocted for Mania weekend. Yes, sir. And in the main event, we had Dalton Castle defending the Ring of Honor Championship against Jay Lethal. This was a match between two guys that can easily out-wrestle anybody else on the roster. It was a very good, very tightly worked, great pace, back and forth type encounter. Castle retained, which is good. I think that I seen there. I was like, good, even though I didn't know the storyline post show. And then after the post show ran, I was like, great, that works awesome. That's a fresh new main event for a Ring of Honor big show, because they got the streaming service now. But or even an iPay-per-view or pay-per-view, however they're going to present this on Mania weekend. It's a good main event. Or even a support match if you look at Cody and Kenny as the main event. I've defaulted there by saying that the title match is always the main event. I think it is, in my opinion, always been. So a solid match, a solid card front to back. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Decent watch. If you haven't seen it, suss out a way to see it and see it. And let me know what you think going forward. March is a really busy month. This weekend's busy. And hey, I held up through this. I'm not bleeding out of my mouth. That's great. Which means that we'll sit down again and I'll give you my thoughts on Fastlane tomorrow-ish, Monday-ish, somewhere in there. Just watch for the video. Subscribe to Nitromaniac TV and the wrestling channel on Nitromaniac TV, which is this channel here, and you won't miss a second of whatever comes up. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fantastic, even though I'm not going to be on site this year down in New Orleans. It's always a fun weekend, so I'll be watching it from afar, sadly, but still interacting, still having some fun. It'll be a lot of fun, as it always is. So, everybody, thanks for watching. Later days, happy wrestling watching, and we'll see you next time.